Okay, so I just found this video of Rachel Hollis from 6-7 years ago, before she was popular, before she wrote her bestseller book, before you and I probably knew her. If there's one person we can learn branding from, it's Rachel Hollis, because she did a great job skyrocketing her brand and also destroying her brand. So maybe we can learn some lessons, maybe we'll have a good laugh. Let's see how this goes.
I didn't have anything to share and I was sort of desperate for some kind of content, and it was getting close to 4th of July, and I decided to share a recipe for dip. You know that dip that you get in like the salad dressing aisle at the grocery store, and it's got like peas and carrots, and you mix it with like spinach and mayonnaise and you put it in a bread bowl and it's magic? That's the kind of food I grew up eating, and I was like, I'm gonna share this dip recipe, and the post went crazy. And I was like, you know, in Castaway, when Tom Hanks finally makes fire and he's like, I have made fire. That was me with my dip. I was like, I figured it out. I have figured out the internet. And then I posted it at another celebrity wedding and nobody cared again. And I realized it's because, as silly as this sounds, the passion that I bring to writing and speaking about a dip recipe is the passion of getting to write and speak about my past.
Okay, I don't know if she's fooling herself or that is the case, but in general, this is the case. When you talk about something that means a lot to you, something you're passionate about, it's something you have knowledge in, it's something you have experience in, something you're skilled in, it comes across in everything you do. It comes across in video, it comes across in what we write about. But what often happens is that we fool ourselves. This happens a lot when you go viral and you see it as a cue, like, okay, that means I have to start doing that. And often people go on the wrong viral train that is not authentic themselves, but they tell themselves that that's who they are.
I could not figure out how to get more people to come in. I couldn't figure out how to grow. And then I saw this amazing TED Talk. And guys, if you take nothing else away from this, please go watch. There's a TED Talk with Simon Sinek about people don't care what you do, they care why you do it.
I spoke about this in other video. I think sometimes people work backwards. So they create the product or service and they hear Simon Sinek's speech and they're like, I gotta find a why, and they connect a why that is often not their why. So I have issues with the why, even though I believe it's so important. I highly recommend you listen to the TED Talk. But I do want to say, if you don't check out the video, and real quick, you gotta have a problem to solve first, and then you can think about, why do I want to solve that problem?
But in watching that, I came to recognize that I was focused so much on the content. I was focused so much on making casseroles and cupcakes and cocktail recipes and how to sew a pillow and all of these things that I wasn't focusing on what I really cared about most. So I really had to step back and figure out why it was that I wanted to have a site. So for me, for my why, I felt like there's so much in the media and online that makes women feel like crap. And I wanted to create a space that was helpful and kind and encouraging and funny and inspiring. And those are not just words that we throw around.
Okay, this is so painful to watch. Oh my goodness, because she ended up being like that toxic person that she built the brand again.
You know, the reason that I think our branding strategy is so interesting is because we are branding more than one thing. So Chic Media is the chic site, but I also write fiction books. I write non-fiction books. We have a social media presence. I do public speaking. We have all of these things that fit into this Chic Media package. And how do we brand all of these things that don't necessarily have something to do with each other? And that is where starting with why was so powerful, because what we realized was the why was the same answer as what our brand is, which is me. I know that sounds silly because I'm talking about myself in the third person. I am the one who writes the books, and I am the one who believes so much in lifting up other women, and I am the one who is sharing my recipes with you. So,
ooh, this is why people hate personal brands. We're not selling ourselves. We're not branding ourselves. Does it make you so uncomfortable? The way she said it, like me, ooh. There's a better way to think of personal brand. Think of it as infusing elements of yourself into your brand, inspiring parts of yourself into your brand, but you're never the brand itself. Never. Ooh.
Every single thing that we do, all of those things need to tie back into the elements that if you were my girlfriend, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's Rach. Like, that's totally her thing. She always wears color. She loves a funky necklace. She's funny and she's irreverent.
Wait, what? She always wears color? Does Rachel Hollis always wear color? I mean, she's wearing lots of color here, but I always think of her like tight jeans and like a gray loose t-shirt or like a plaid shirt. I just hope she didn't stop wearing color because she realized like the girl next door doesn't always wear bright colors. They usually look a little messy. Like, she built this whole brand to look like the girl next door, the type of girl that you can borrow eggs from and also tell your deepest, darkest secret. Her hair is always messy and she speaks in this very like girl next door talk. Like, her book is written that way. Her Instagram posts are all that way. And her hair is always like crinkly and a little messy and in her face, and she's not wearing makeup. Like, everything to look like the girl next door who you can like talk about stuff. I wonder if she just went too far, and that's kind of how she ended up, you know, her brand went down the drain. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad, and we have to remind ourselves like never to allow ourselves to happen to us, because losing yourself, selling your soul to your brand for cash is a horrible, uncomfortable experience. I've experienced, I'm sure many of you have experienced it. It's just something that's so common, and unfortunately Rachel Hollis is a victim of that too.
But we sort of backed up into what our brand was, and our brand was me. Specifically because if you are trying to uplift other women, I think the easiest way that you can do that is to befriend other women.
Okay, she just befriended a little too much, like almost as having a toxic friend. But yeah, befriending, being kind, I mean, the world would be a beautiful place.
So if you check out our social media, the site, our Pinterest page, any place that you can interact with the brand or myself, you're gonna see cheese-based dips and casserole recipes and things that are funny and my kids, my family, my house, because those things are authentically me. And the amazing thing about having a brand that is authentically you...
Oh no! I know what she's gonna say. Oh my goodness. If she says that... Oh my gosh, I can't stop laughing because like I'm so sick of hearing it and it's completely rubbish. She's going to say that when you are authentically self and come across as authentically yourself, there is no competition. Watch it, she's gonna say that.
Is that there's no competition. There's a great Dr. Seuss quote that's like, this is the thing that's truer than true, there's no one alive more youer than you. Watch out. Nobody can do it just like you can do it. There can be 50 million people who blog about cookies, but nobody can blog about cookies exactly the way that you do. Nobody can share the recipes that you used to make with your grandma. Nobody can do your exact angle or your exact style. And when you embrace yourself, when you embrace what your brand really is, you don't have competition. That's why this is a thing you need to figure out.
Okay, this might have been the case when there were less people on social media, there were less bloggers, there were less people, entrepreneurs. I'm sorry, but this isn't the case anymore. At the end of the day, there's just not many variations of itself. I think it's because we're all influenced by each other. The only thing I can say that is very unique to us is our experience, our story, our concoction of personalities. But there's so many people doing the same thing we are doing, especially if we look like, you know, the standard white girl. No offense, but that's just the case. Also, I think my biggest problem with this belief is it makes us extremely lazy. Because they were like, I show up for myself, then I'm good enough. No, that is not the case. You also have to have a freaking amazing product or service, and you need to work hard to be able to stick out in a very saturated copycat market. So just being yourself is not enough to succeed in today's market. If you disagree with me, let me know below.
The really cool thing about authentically branding is it also means that you never run out of ideas.
Okay, I don't know if I agree with this, This is probably the case for some people depending on your circumstances, on your life, on how much action you have in your day. How we get content is not just from our own past experience and from our daily things. It's also if we read a lot, we gather a lot of information, we immerse ourselves into the category we're in, then you end up having a lot of ideas.
And a lot of bloggers are like, I don't know what to blog about, I don't know what to write about, or authors are like, I don't know what my next book's gonna be. When you are speaking from a true, honest place, you should never run out of ideas, because you can keep drawing from the well of yourself, your past experiences, to figure out what you're gonna do next.
If you are authentically yourself, you always have content, but then what ends up happening, and the mistake Rachel Hollis did and many personal brands make, and it often hurts their relationship, their loved ones, it's just such an uncomfortable thing, is when they start making everything about their life into their content. Rachel Hollis started bringing people into their bedroom, into their bathroom. I mean, like, she started showing up every time she was crying. Like, I always wondered how that works. You start crying, like, hold on, gotta grab my camera, gotta grab my lights, sit back down, now I could continue crying. Is that authenticity? It's so sad how we've turned every moment into content. I think it's always good to reflect back on the months past and say, what have I learned from it, and share those stuff, because we're always learning, we're always growing. But don't make everything into content. And sometimes the best thing you can do when you're having an emotional moment is just speak to your therapist or close the bathroom door and just have a good cry. Like, don't make everything into content. It's so unhealthy just to sell a product, sell a service, build a community. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Don't do it.
The other thing I want to talk about is, what if you're watching this video right now and you're like, okay, Rach, you can do that. It can be you, because you are the face of the brand. What do you do if the brand is a business that doesn't have a face of the brand? The example that I always use is In-N-Out. I know they're like a California thing, but I think most people know what In-N-Out is at this point. What's on the bottom of every fry container at In-N-Out? What's on the bottom of a cup or the milkshakes at In-N-Out? And those of you who know, I think most of us know, are Bible scriptures. It's a family-owned business. They're Christians, and they put Bible scriptures on the bottom of their paper goods. That has nothing to do with fries and burgers and milkshakes. That has everything to do with their brand and the kind of company that they want to be. So it is possible to infuse parts of yourself and what your heart is into your business, even if you're not the face of it.
Yes, 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 yes. I like that. Yes, yes, yes. That is the case, and that's how all personal brands should be. We should infuse parts of ourselves into a brand, but never be the brand itself, and never sell our soul to our brand. Yes, yes, yes. If you want to take one thing out of this, is this: infuse parts of you, parts of your personality, parts of your Michigassen, parts of your story, parts of your experience, parts of your knowledge, whatever you're passionate, infuse that into your brand, but never sell your soul for your brand. Never become your brand itself. It's so dangerous, especially in this age when we're quite hard on ourselves, we're quite hard on our brands, and the last thing you want to do is go that way.
I had a picture that went viral earlier this year, and it was a shot I took on Instagram. I had posted a picture of myself in a bikini showing the fact that I had stretch marks, and I talked about how proud I was of my stretch marks because it means that I was blessed enough to have children. A lot of women who are battling infertility would kill to have my stretch marks as evidence that they have carried 3 babies. So I posted this picture and was sort of talking about how proud I was of the stretch marks, and the picture went viral. I mean, millions and millions and millions of likes and shares and comments on Facebook, and every news outlet covered it. And I mention it because when I got all of this attention, I got emails and calls ad nauseum from plastic surgeons. There's some kind of cream that apparently you can put on your belly that will cover up your stretch marks or make them go away. There's some kind of band allegedly that you can put on your stomach. I only know this because so many people reached out and asked if they could pay me to be a spokesperson for these products. So I had sort of got my 5 minutes of fame claiming to love my stretch marks. And then all of these brands were offering significant amount of money to be the spokesperson for getting rid of them. That's not on brand.
This is also important to note the disconnect. Everything you do must be aligned with the bigger picture. And if it's not, don't do it, because you will get called out, especially the bigger you grow, which you will, and the more scrutiny you'll get. and the easier it is for you to fall. So be extremely careful and strategic with what you do and do not share, and with who you do and do collaborate.
Believe me that there are days when I want to go off brand, okay? Someone cuts me off in traffic, someone writes me a note on Facebook or sends an email into the site and says something that's unkind, hurts my feelings, and I want to retaliate, like maybe in a snarky way or maybe in a backtalk way.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Like, I feel like that whole bathroom thing was like literally to get back at, it was like, I've got you. And then the internet got her.
I want to do it, but it's not on brand.
So personal brands are a lot harder than a regular brand because we need to look spontaneous, but at the same time, we are never allowed to be spontaneous. We need to be very strategic with what we do and do not share. That's why I highly recommend whenever you create content, whenever you want to hop on Instagram stories, whatever you do, reels, if you can give it a day, create that content and then give it a day, let it marinate, like think it over and then ask yourself, is it really aligned with my brand? Is it really aligned with me? Is it really aligned with the direction I want to take my brand? And only if the answer is yes, post it, because we've got to be extremely strategic, even though the world wants us to be extremely spontaneous. Okay, so I hope you've learned something from this completely unplanned, spontaneous. Wait, spontaneous? Yes, it's aligned with my brand. Not so spontaneous. Wish you much success, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.